But for more on this breaking story, we go now to Tom O'Connor. He is a former FBI agent and an expert on domestic extremism. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Yeah, I'm very sorry that New Year's Day we're talking about this type of an event, and obviously our hearts go out to those killed and those injured. It's an awful way to start 2025.
And looking at the scene this morning of Bourbon Street now closed with police there, that heavy police presence, that area cordoned off for blocks. We now know the FBI investigating this as a potential act of terrorism, quite a contrast to the celebrations as many revelers they were ringing in the new year. What would make this an act of terrorism, given the fact that officials have not revealed a possible motive yet?
Well, so you were speaking earlier about the FBI kind of being slow to say that this is an act of terrorism. The FBI takes over the jurisdiction of this because it is potentially an act of terrorism. What they're doing now is scrubbing the suspects' social media, talking to family, talking to friends, talking to anybody who has any contact with this person, going through that vehicle, looking through papers and anything that they can get that this person had contact with to try and determine what the motivation was. If this is a person that suffers from some type of mental illness and acted out violently, that's a crime. That's not an act of terrorism. An act of terrorism has to be the use of force or violence to intimidate or coerce a civilian population or to influence the policy of a government. So the FBI, and through the Joint Terrorism Task Force, which is a multi-agency entity run through the FBI, is working all of this jointly. And they're going to try and they will determine why this person did this. And if it is politically motivated, if it was done to influence the policy of a government, or if it was done for an ideological reason, then it is an act of terrorism. And then it's to determine, is this a domestic terrorism, somebody that has an issue with a domestic policy, or is this an act of international terrorism, which could be religious-based or politically based, wars around the world? All these different things come into play. When you saw in Germany, the motivation for that was a complete opposite of what people thought it was going to be forward. So they don't want to rush in and come out with something that they have to backtrack on later.
Let's talk about what we know. We know that officials there on the ground, the police speaking this morning, saying that this, they believe, was intentional, this vehicle moving at a fast speed prior to all of these people being struck. As we now know, at least 10 people killed here. But how difficult will it be to determine what you're talking about, this motivation, given now that the suspect, according to officials, is now dead?
Well, they won't have the opportunity to interview and interrogate this person, so that is off the table. But people leave trails on social media, and they feel through that anonymity of social media that they can say anything they want to say. So this person may have, platforms that they're regularly on, where they're spewing their hatred towards this, that, or the other thing. That is going to be something that is very important to the investigation. Unfortunately, there are times when a lone offender is just that, is a person who doesn't talk to others, very socially awkward, and doesn't have that contact with others where people can tell you, hey, yeah, this guy's been talking about this or that. So hopefully there is those breadcrumbs that can be followed electronically and through interviews of coworkers, friends, family, as to what the issue is. And it can be a cross-section of, person has had some serious issues and they've been radicalized online for some type of an ideology, some type of a political bent, or it could be this is just a crime. Everything leads to the person drove their car, very purposefully into that crowd. They engaged law enforcement in a gunfight, potentially a improvised explosive device found somewhere in that area. These are all things that are making, red flags go up and say, this is not just a person with a criminal potential or a criminal reason for doing this, it's likely to be some form of terrorism. But it's really too early to say that, and that's what the investigators are doing now. They're scrubbing everything they possibly can related to this subject, who they know who that is at this point, I'm sure.
And we don't have a lot of time, but I do want to ask you quickly about the timing and location here. We heard in that briefing this morning from police saying that he was, quote, hell-bent on trying to create the carnage, going around barricades even. What does it tell you about the timing and the location of this attack?
Well, I mean, we had the Christmas market attack, which puts it into the minds of people who are bent on doing these types of things. So it's not really surprising that there's another type of attack like this being so close to the Germany incident. This person clearly was bent on causing serious issues. The New Orleans Police Department is an amazing department that works these type of crowds all the time. They work them with their law enforcement, state, federal partners. But, you know, if someone is really bent on doing something, they're going to potentially find a way to get that done, no matter how hard you try. I mean, it's very, very difficult to secure an entire city because they have calls for service in other parts of the city that they also have to attend to. So it's a very difficult thing to secure a city. And going forward for the football game coming up, you can guarantee that security level has just gone up many notches from where it was already at a heightened level.
Tom O'Connor, thanks so much for your time and your insight. We'll continue to follow this story.
Thank you, Marion. Have a great day.